Bottom left-hand side, a best of 5 TvZ going to kick off with INnoVation in the bottom left-hand side, taking on the Red Zerg, top right, DRG. This one a best of 5 from the Into the AlphaX Trovo Weekly number 23. Little 4-player tournament. 4 players, they play 2 best of 5 semi-finals and a best of 7 final. So, this is the first match we'll cast from this event. We might do the others. I believe Stats and Beyond is the other semi-final matchup, so we might go to those. And, yeah. Excited to, watch a little bit of these two getting into action with each other. Because DRG and INnoVation, since DRG beat INnoVation in that GSL quarterfinal, I've always felt had not quite a rivalry, right, but there's definitely been like always a little bit of a story to when they start to play against each other and stuff, right? So there's always that little bit of a story in that regard as to when things are going to happen and how things are going to happen, that kind of stuff. And I always kind of feel like it's like, well, you know, everyone kind of usually favors Inno, but DRG really does have really good ZVT, and he can definitely put a fight to INnoVation a lot of the time. So, yeah, INnoVation actually bounced back pretty strong. After the GSL round of 8 loss, he lost a few times to DRG, but then he started winning against DRG again. After he lost in the War Chest Team League and Kung Fu Cup, he actually won back in a ESL Pro Tour event in the Korea play-ins. They were casting that back then, and he won in 4-0 in the finals of one of these online events. So like I say, it's been a back and forth between Inno and DRG really for the last year or so, so generally guarantees us a pretty decent series. Of course, just as we intro the players and we get started up here, just want to say, if you do watch this one on YouTube, then thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't forget, if you do enjoy the video in the end and the casting, do hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to leave a like on it as well if you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, you can leave the comments down below and you can tell me all the reasons why. I may or may not read them or respond. I may just delete them if I get mad because I feel like I disagree. That happens very rarely when people are being really mean. I don't want to deal with it. Sad. Alright guys, let's get this going. We've got the Terran with the Reaper on the way to the top side, so the action is about to begin. This is it! The Reaper versus the Zerglings. Now, 2 full Lings get here. I'm going to put some damage on the drone to start. The Ling's going to start taking a few hits. Obviously, you got to do this dance until the Queens pop out. So that will take just a little while as we go back and forth a little. Again, extra drones on the way. No third hatch on the left side. Instead, DRG takes this hatch down the bottom. Now, I'm going to regurgitate a little bit of what Harston was saying earlier in today's stream, which was we were casting some TvZ, and he was, you know, describing this matchup a little bit on this map, the expansion patterns. But yeah, this base has become a lot more common to be taken rather than this base up here. And the reason being, it's just much easier to take a 4th base here, because where do you tank push into this? Like from the low ground? It's not pretty to tank push into this base compared to being able to tank push into this base. Obviously, if this is your 3rd, Terrans don't push into the 3rd base, they push into the 4th base. Right? So there's absolutely value to taking this base rather than this base as your 3rd, then here is your 4th. And it's all just down towards like tanks positions down here and everything being very powerful, and we see that again and again from Terran players. So it's just a way in which the map has kind of been adapted by Zergs as time has gone by, and we've continued to play on these maps. I know a lot of people are very ready for new maps. Me as well, guys. I do believe they are coming. But yeah, it's just one of the ways that the map has changed during the lifespan, or during its lifespan here. So always cool. I always thought, you know, my favorite maps were ones where multiple expansion patterns were very easy to take and, you know, very potent, right? There was multiple options, and this is one of those maps that for a long time a lot of people kind of thought, well, it's there, but why would you do it as a Zerg? And now we're kind of seeing, well, this is why you're doing it as a Zerg. In ZVT, at least, it actually does make a lot of sense. It is actually something you can do fairly successfully. And actually, because the Zerg then starts expanding to the right, changes what the Terran does. The Terran usually likes this base here, this forward base, but if the Zerg is off to the right side, do you not take the right base and then rally from here up to the right base, the 4th base of the Zerg player? Potentially. Right, there's definitely something to be said about that as well, for sure. As INnoVation comes up this ramp and just going to put some damage out onto the Queen. So a little bit of damage being done. We do have a Banshee and a Hellion. Banshee follow up with Cloak behind this as well, so obviously there were already Hellions as I misspoke there. But yeah, Hellion Banshee to set up for the moment. Just going to be seeing these units continuing around the right side. A couple of Queens, the Creep Tumor out here. Not really much for the Hellions to do. They're looking for an active Tumor, right? They're looking to catch this as it goes forward. He does not. He backs away, so INnoVation will not delay that creep at all. DRG can continue to take steps out towards that 4th base as he just drones up heavily. I mean, there's not really anything you need units for here, right? You need a small amount of Lings to deal with these Hellions just in case they start to dive by and they get past the Queens. And then the Banshees, well, you only need Queens and Spores to deal with those, so it is just a case of drone and keep on droning. Obviously, it's about finding the right balance, not being caught, off guard or anything, but he's keeping good vision with his Overlord here, keeping a track of what he sees. Not sure if he's seen the Banshees at all. I'm going to go ahead and say he's probably got a rough idea of what this might be. Either way, even if this wasn't Banshees, he wouldn't be afraid of an initial attack just yet anyway. It's just not the right timing in terms of like a ground attack or so, as we just see this couple of Banshees moving in towards the upper side. So in we go. And, yeah, just going to be seeing them going for a couple kills. And they are going to get in here for 1, 2, and 3 drone kills to start. So not a bad start at all. Now other Queens coming in from the main base. Going to push these Banshees away. And a little bit of back and forth. The Queen here in the main taking, in the natural, taking a little bit of additional damage. INnoVation will rock these Banshees around the top side now. And again, just try and find a little bit of an opening to make happen here. He doesn't find anything. Well, good defense from DRG, gotta say. I mean, 4 drones is decent for INnoVation, and the Banshees are still alive, which is also nice, but to have these Banshees on such low HP now means that DRG pushes them back. These Banshees are not going to come back into the game for, what, like a minute? They gotta fly home, be repaired, fly back out. It just buys you time where you don't have to deal with them anymore, and that's what really is amazing about this defensive DRG. He does actually force these Banshees away for a little while, so big positive there is now Hellions and a Reaper coming forward, going to get a Creep Tumor tagged. A couple of Creep Tumors are going to start going down, in fact, so he kind of needs something INnoVation. These Hellions let up the pressure for a while, and suddenly the creep spread is... It's not super far forward, but it's everywhere. It's all the way around the top, it's in the middle, it's in the bottom center, and it's on the right side too. There's a good couple Creep Tumors of depth on every, in front of every base at the very least. It means that defending a lot of these attacks becomes a lot easier for the Zerg. The vision is there, you've got that extra mobility for that little while longer. It makes it tougher for the Terran to really find a way to fight, and love this. These 2 Creep Tumors are going to get back up really where they shouldn't have been. So much creep denied here, but so much of it is undone if these Creep Tumors get back up because it really maintains the forward position of that creep spread. And that's a fantastic little play from DRG, just getting that creep back on track. INnoVation, does he want to spend another scan here to deny us? He leaves a couple of Hellions on A move, hitting into these couple of Queens. He will scan one more time and denies. He gets an Overlord on top of it. He's got 1-1 against 0-0 at the moment. 1-1 from the Zerg is not far from finishing, of course, with the setup that we've got. We've already got ourselves Baneling speed in play as well. So we've got the Banelings going to be rolling around instead of waddling. And that does mean they're going to be nice and quick to jump on this. So even with the 1-1 upgrade advantage, we've still got the tools to fight against this as DRG. And honestly, he's not far off his own 1-1, so he might be able to fight this anyway. You know what? Ling Bane just going to counterattack wide open third base when you go through the middle of the map here. And that just means you're going to be able to come straight through and just get in there. And that's a lot of SCVs in some trouble. 10 workers, 11 workers down. There's a lot of Ling Bane chasing. No, the SCVs are stuck up the ramp. They're all right there. DRG blow them up. 15 more workers go down. The tank is behind the wall off. The SCVs got locked out. And so many of them went down because of it. Now maybe even the siege tank goes down. An additional kill on this run by, which was not necessary to make it a success story. Those SCVs trapped in the corner as the Banelings ran in towards them. Unbelievable stuff. As Queens come through, the Ling Bane continues forward. This Bio army tries to split away, but after taking so much damage, I mean, the army itself is decent. You lose a lot of your tanks. You obviously lost a tank that could have reinforced as well, which is problematic. That's where your main problem is going to be. Look at DRG's money. He just spent it on 11 meters. So as the Spire is online, now he's going to get the meters up, and I think this becomes a trivialized defense because he's just going to end up having so much to fight with. INnoVation. 51 workers ain't bad, but it's obviously far from where you want to be at this stage of the game, for sure. This is tough. Ling's going to go back into the third base again, so even more denial on the economy. Yeah, it's all well and good having this massive wall of depots. But what if the Zerg's just running from this side instead, right? It's almost like INnoVation just refused to admit that the Zerg can come from 2 different directions onto that base. And because you're kind of pushing, in a way, maybe it's because of how he's playing the game. Right, INnoVation's base on this forward position is kind of not the base you want to take, and this is why, because by pushing forward from this base, you're kind of just off to the right-hand side. This area is very open. You're actually kind of pushing from the natural instead of from the third base, right? There's no reason to rally your units to the third when they're rallying out to the right-hand side to kill the fourth. But if that's, if that's what you're doing, it really means that this area is never checked up on by reinforcements or anything, so you just don't have units there. Whereas if you rally out to the third, and you rally out over this way, okay, the units can still come in from this top side, and you're not pushing in that direction, but your units are naturally going from the natural toward this third location. It's natural to rally them towards that direction to be able, and then they become a defense against some of these run-bys. It's not going to be the defense every time, but it definitely helps, it definitely aids you, and it's easier to get back to as well from the position you're pushing in, and that's why, we talk about the bases that the Terran players take, and, you always take forward bases, because usually the forward bases means pushing in towards the Zerg bases. In this case, this forward base doesn't actually make sense. This forward base actually hurts you in comparison to where the Zerg expanded to, and that's why earlier in the game, I really stand by the idea of taking this base as your third if the Zerg takes this expansion pattern, because otherwise, these run-bys really do just go unchecked. Like I say, there's no reason to rally up to here to then rally over here when you can just rally from here over to here. So yeah, it all comes down to rally points, to, directions of where units spawn and stuff, but I feel like that was actually critical. I mean, there's other ways to do this as well. You could have also walled off here, right, and, put depots up, but that only buys you time until Banes crash through it, and then, you still have the same issue of if all your units are over here, they've got a way to run. There's a bit of a pre-warning system. Would have just liked more to see the expansion down on the bottom side. So, yeah, I know I've kind of hammered home that point, but I think it really kind of shone in this game, and especially when we talked about it earlier as well. It's a fun little bit of analysis. Bottom right-hand side, our blue Terran player from KaiZ Gaming is down a map after the first map on Pillars of Gold. See if you can turn it around here on Death Aura. Our blue Terran player is INnoVation. Up against the red Zerg in the top left corner of the map. It is DRG. Okay, game 2. That's best of 5 series. We get this one started off. Moves out down through the center, a couple extra workers on the way in, hatchery onto the natural as we set up without any real early game, super early game plays at least. Nice little bit of time to get set up here. Just mining away on this main base. Rack's going to be finishing up. Spawning pool is going to be done from DRG in just a few moments as well. And yeah, everything kind of nice. Hatch pool gas, right? So maybe something to look at there is that it isn't hatch gas pool, it is hatch pool gas, so link speed might be a little bit later than you usually expect. You might be able to get a faster third hatchery with this. Again, just a few things to look at because of this. Drone pops out, starts the extractor on the left-hand side. Spawn pool going to be done in just a few moments, as mentioned before. I said it was going to be done soon when it started up, which was a misspeak. Yeah, and you have to forgive me, I'm a little bit derpy today. I had to wake up super early to go and sort internet at the new house, and then I came back home and I had a nap before I casted, and that didn't really do me... It was necessary, but it also didn't really do me any favors. So my brain's still a little bit slow at points, so... Warmed up a little bit now after 3 hours of streaming, but still a little bit slow at times, has to be said. That's okay. You guys put up with me, I know. If it gets you to start fighting against these Zerglings now, it is just a single gas once again from INnoVation. So this obviously every time pretty much indicates a 3cc build order. So we should be seeing the third CC. It's not going to go in the main base, it's going to go in the natural. Usually when you build a third CC this early, you don't build it in the wall off, because you don't necessarily need it in the wall off to help kind of finish the wall, right? And you don't have units up to protect it, so it's very risky against, some early link pressure if your opponent went for like a super fast link speed or something wild. INnoVation saw the third hatchery, so it's very possible he says, well, I'm just safe enough, I can put it up in the wall. But yeah, you don't need to be rushing to complete this wall, right? It's going to be a while until you add these depots anyway, so typically you don't bother with third CC there. you just put it into the main base instead. And then typically it's better to fly out into this position as well. From here, it can obviously fly left a little bit more easily, but it can still go right very easily too. I mean, we're just talking about a couple seconds of fly time. But of course, we do talk about a lot of these things frequently because they're very important. The Hellion moves out the front. Tech Lab is about to finish up on our barracks, and just going to be seeing our CC number 3 about to be done. It's a very, peaceful early game. Even the Reaper didn't get up to much. 0 kills from that, so nothing lost at all at the start of the day here. Reaper and the Hellion continue to make their way up through to the top side, and going to be having the couple of queens showing up to push this back. There's one Marine going in with the Viking now support. I'm going to get rid of an Overlord, but full scout from DRG, so he knows exactly what he's playing against. He sees, okay, well, 1-1-1 is set up here. You see your stim packs on the way, so it's not going to be anything super aggressive in terms of like a Hellbat attack on the follow-up. Otherwise, you just wouldn't have the gas for that already. So yeah, the Overlord does what it's meant to do. It gets the information. You can put those pieces of the puzzle together as DRG and start to see the larger picture now as to where INnoVation is taking this, which again is just a fairly passive game. He goes up to 8 Hellions, so he is on a bit of a higher Hellion count, but it's not the end of the world when you're on 3 bases as well. If this was like 8 Hellions and you're kind of, haven't built your 3rd yet, or your 3rd was later, then it's like, oh wow, you're really looking for damage, but in this case I think it's kind of fine. It does delay the barracks by a few extra seconds, but I mean, obviously the Hellion count is going to aid you in future pushes as well. It's very good to help you against the run-bys. You can see right now it just keeps 4 in the front and 4 back at home. So he actually has like a run-by defense already set up in the game. INnoVation just saying, you know what, I can appreciate that you might get aggressive. I can see that you might come in and try and, kill me off or deal some damage. So it's going to get ahead of that and, be proactive about denying it. You have the single Viking, and she picked up another Overlord, so it's 2 Overlords dead in the game. The Hellions are still cruising around looking for their openings. Now you can see that DRG upgrades were the immediate kind of go-to this time around, so 1-1 now into the lair. DRG really is a big Lingbane meta player, but he has, he always talks about how he follows Serral a bit, and Serral obviously played a lot of Lingbane Hydra Lurker stuff lately, and DRG started to add that into his play as well, and I was a big fan of it simply for the fact that before it felt like DRG was super predictable. If you're playing DRG, you knew you were playing Lingbane meta every single time, but now he mixes in the Hydras, he mixes in those Lurkers, adding that depth into your play, even if you don't have a, even if you don't play the Lingbane Hydra or the Lingbane Lurker as well as you play Lingbane meta, just being able to change it up within a series is often still better than just playing your best style every single time. Not every time, but I'd say most of the time that's like actually a good thing. Being able to just switch the styles up even if it's a weaker style. Because obviously it's only going to be weaker to some extent, right? But, you're not going to be like, oh my god, like I just can't play Lingbane meta at all, I just kind of collapse here. You're still going to be able to play the other style well. Maybe it's just not the tip-top 100% shape you believe in your other style, but again, the power of switching up just has so much it can do to the opponent in terms of guessing what's going on, preparation, army composition, keeping them moving around, keeping your options open, right? It keeps the series open. It makes you a more difficult opponent to prepare against as well. Man, my words are, I want to say tumbling out of my mouth, but they're not even really tumbling all the way out. They're kind of tumbling out and getting caught up at my lips also. I apologize. There's tanks coming up this left-hand side. There's double tank push from INnoVation as we have a few Banes getting through. The first tank goes down. Lings were looking like they maybe wanted to counter-tank. Now going to sweep in for the flank, and that means that Siege tank on the low ground is going to go down. Lings run up toward the Marines. I mean, the Marines going to be jumping into the medevacs to get out. Only one of the medevacs loaded units. Okay, the other medevac loaded a couple Marines, but that was about it. Quick shutdown from DRG, just gets there, kills off the tanks, and that really does slow a lot of this down. Is INnoVation is just going to start adding on a second factory. Now he is 5 racks, so he should go second factory into a 4th command center, and then the extra racks here. Going 8 racks after a second factory is obviously just very late to add on 8 racks to continue being aggressive. He's going to try what I'm trying to find right now. This was not good. So he started to target fire down the banelings, but started to was the main kind of point of that sentence, because it didn't continue. He got like 3 or 4 initiatives, like, okay, nice job. That doesn't matter at all if the other Balins end up crashing in, and then you're kind of expecting the Balins to be dead, because you're like, oh, he's going to target fire them. So then you're just clumped up with your Marines, and you take a bunch of damage, so DRG does get the cleanup. Again, every single time is able to come in and basically kind of just wrap around this army, right? Getting a full surround, making INnoVation's fight very lackluster. Now INnoVation forced to pick up middle of the map. What you want to do now as DRG is leap on this opportunity. These medevacs, they've already used their boost, so you can get across here and maybe jump on an army that's only halfway done. I'm looking at this tank because it's a little bit tilted right now, isn't it? As INnoVation might be in a moment or two. Fourth base cancelled as well. Slingbane coming in. I was going to see maybe want to jump on this army before the medevac's not able to unload, but you know what? Might not even matter. DRG just has so much right now. INnoVation supply block loses a couple depots. The other thing to note is, of course, the actual style DRG does play. He doesn't go into the Mutalisks, right? He does just play pure Lingbane. Faster Infestation Pit, faster Hive, which will lead to 3-3, and Ultras. And that's generally how you play this. A lot of Lingbane, faster Ultralisk Cavern, and you get those Ultras up nice and quickly off the Hive tech. You know, obviously, if you're up against a lot of tanks, add in the Vipers off the Hive as well. And as DRG going to run in right now, again, this is a fight which I don't think you usually take with this style. But it's one of those scenarios where you are just that far ahead that maybe you can make it work anyway. And he absolutely is. He's going to get cancelled on the fourth base once more. And you still got units kind of streaming through just towards the other bases, right? Tanks over here going down. This base is going to be exposed, and INnoVation is going to type out GG for the second time in the series to give DRG now a pretty clean 2-0 lead. It's been looking very good so far in this. This time really was just very good at always jumping on INnoVation's army from multiple sides, going in from multiple angles, you know, reinforcing at the right times. Really, really handled that well. GG's, INnoVation down by 2. DRG looking fantastic. To the bottom left-hand side, the blue Terran player from KZ Gaming. Give it up if you're cheering on INnoVation. And he kind of needs your cheers right now. He's down 0-2. And DRG just seems to have his number in some of these fights, especially just really has been controlling a lot of these engagements very well. Has been doing a very good job in that regard of just controlling the fights, controlling the engagements, making that part of the game very difficult for INnoVation to capitalize on. You know, not gonna go proxy racking it up, which, to be honest, kind of one of my expectations out of this. I kind of expected to see a INnoVation kind of like, usually when Noah's down 0-2 and he just doesn't feel like he can get into a series, he's like, right, proxy racks, whatever, and he's like, sometimes he even does it like twice in a row. But hey, you know what, it is his map pick, I'd imagine, Oxide, so I imagine this is his map pick, so maybe he says, you know what, let's give it a go. Let's see if we can fight it back in a more regular way, as we do make our steps towards the next few moments of this. So, getting ready to go. Drone's moving around, INnoVation. Gonna get a CC started. Big question, I guess, now is, do you go double gas or do you go single gas? Do you go 3CC again and kind of continue to work with just what hasn't happened or worked for you so far? Or do you go something a little bit more aggressive, right? Yeah, I can imagine it being pretty cool in that regard, actually. I can see the potential. And just switching it up, and he is going to go double gas. I like it. It's also a good map to just take momentum on early as well anyway, because it is a nice terrain map. It's a good map for tank positions and stuff, so you can get the momentum early with a bit of damage. Your follow-up attacks can then be very successful beyond that as well, so I like where we're taking this one, basically. Pivot backs away from the natural, going to be seeing the command center about to finish a factory. Is on the way down in this main base, so that's going to be done in a moment or two as well. So finishing up the factory, the reactor going to be finishing, and the factory can go to it, and there's our starport as expected, of course. So what exactly can INnoVation do off a double gas build? Well, you can obviously go into Hellion Banshee. You can obviously go into something like a Hellbat attack as well. That's another possibility here. Add on that armory. You'll see the tech lab on the barracks for the moment, so that's going to swing things more towards this being Hellbat Banshee or so. Sometimes you can just go like Hellion Liberator Harass with the Stimpack starting behind it as well. I don't know if I like that as much, but it is another option here if you want to take that kind of route. Is the Rax going to get off the tech lab? That's the real question here. It will not. Viking. And a Marauder. Okay, so it's still going to be an attack. It's going to be a Marauder Hellbat attack. I was going to say, I was trying to put it together. I was like, what's the tech lab for? Yeah, Marauders, Hellbats. And the Viking then obviously cleans out the Overlords to deny some of the scouting on the Marauders. And actually can just land and join in the fight as well. So this is another one of the Hellbat attacks you see, I won't say fairly often, but actually to be fair, I've not really seen it in a little while. Yeah, I've not really seen it in a little while, so... so the Reaper and a couple of Hellions back away down the right side. We've also got this Overlord flying in over here, going to get cleaned out. So Overlord will fall. Factory lifts off the reactor. It's going to go elsewhere. Going to go back on the reactor, so I think he was just trying to fake it out in case the Overlord saw it, right? He's like, oh look, I'm done building Hellions. Don't expect anything too aggressive here. When in reality, there are many more Hellions on the way. Yeah, DRG's just got no information at all. He's very blind to this, and another Overlord getting pushed further back, so more vision disappearing. And even these Queens come quite far forward. They've got no energy. They've been creep spreading like crazy. DRG's built Nevo chambers, even more drones. Surely there is just no way, especially with like the Marauders, right? Because with the Marauders involved, there's the concussive shells, so the Queens can't pull off like that miraculous split everywhere kite away defense either. DRG is in so much trouble. He still hasn't made extra units, right? Drones are still in the production tab. Here we go. Marauders will drop down. Hellbats are going to get on top of the Queens. And my friends, INnoVation is back in this series, at least for now, as we do see the Hellbats. The Marauders going to get the cleanup here. That is just going to be something that DRG maybe didn't expect on this map as well, right? I know INnoVation did a great job denying, vision and so on, but this is also just like, it's a good Terran map. Why would you go so aggressive on a map like this? Well, I guess he's 0-2 down, so maybe you should have been a little bit more cautious about something along these lines. GG is called. INnoVation will get a map on the scoreboard, and it will keep our series interesting for now, rather than let it fall to be a 3-0. Game number 4. And this time there are SCVs moving on the map. I was talking about this a little bit in game number 3, what we might expect to see from INnoVation, but this time he's actually going to do it. So, Zerg's map pick, he's still down a game, and he's going to proxy Rax to start us off. Blue Terran bottom right, trying to turn this series around from the 0-2 deficit. DRG from, well, he actually has the Team NV clan tag on in the upper left-hand side. It's interesting. Is DRG actually join Team NV? Because, he didn't, I don't think he is. He's not listed on, so the one thing I'm looking at right now is actually I'm looking at the rosters from the newly announced World Team League, and he's not on any of the rosters there, but maybe it's still time to change before that starts in a couple of weeks' time. Oh, that's going to be exciting. I can't believe how much content we're going to get out of this. It's going to be freaking amazing, guys. Hyped. Alright, multiple racks coming up on the top side of the map, so setting up over here with this to begin with. Going to be seeing the third rack's about to go down in the top, and obviously that's going to be a good set of buildings to rally forward from. Now, DRG just missed it with this Overlord, so completely blind, and Nightshade, he doesn't take a long time to get across to the other side, but the thing is, a 3-racks doesn't need a lot of time. Oh, it's 3-racks Reaper. I apologize, guys, I was completely blind to the gas. Well, carried away looking for DRG's team info to see if he was joining Team NV or not. Wow, okay, so you actually go into Reaper production here. That's really exciting. That's actually kind of terrifying as well, honestly. Okay. Well, SCV goes down. Now, there are lings being made, so the problem here for INnoVation is this was gas pool hatch, right? So, sorry, pool hatch gas. So there's a pool first. He's going to bank Reapers. The Overlord's about to see no expansion. The problem is I don't know if DRG is necessarily going to end up making the right decisions. He's going to go across the map with lings. I actually would like that a lot more if it wasn't Reapers in production. He's going to pull them back now. Yeah, but now he's hunting for Marines, but the reality is you're not going to get Marines. Because there's Reapers. The Reapers are going to do great at picking this off. Now these Lings are like, hello, barracks, and like, oh no, wait a second. Because now these Lings go down for free. Remember that actually overall here, Ling speed starts now. Ling speed's not going to be done until like 340, so it's not the fastest possible Ling speed either. And this is actually a bit of a problem. First Queen already taking damage, and that's maybe an issue too. Like, the Lings don't change much here. The First Queen is on its own. The Reaper's going to keep on fighting. A little bit of a grenade there, bopping the Queen back. Another Reaper showing up as well. Has to pull them back. Good micro so far. Felt like those Lings had a mini surround that they maybe could have tried to take advantage of as well, but no luck just there. There's another grenade. Gonna bop these Queens back once again. Now our Reaper hops up to the high ground, hops back down. This back and forth seems to keep on continuing. There's another few grenades putting some damage out. The Queen's taking hits. Sling's going down. Just going to be seeing the Queens continue to take a bunch of damage for the moment. So they are low HP, but now transfusions are ready, and INnoVation hasn't really done, like, you know, he's not gotten the kills yet. Ling speed's coming. Time is taking for INnoVation to really properly deal damage here. A good grenade is going to blast the Queens around a little bit again, but another couple of Queens are out now. Reaper's at the point where they're obviously killing Queens very quickly. Now they're going to be enough Lings, I suppose, is another reasonable question at this point, because a few of them are going down before Ling speed is done. Ling speed done now. What a grenade, though. Gets a few extra kills on the end. The Spinecrawler makes a move, but now he's just not going to fight at the front. He'll just rally into the main base instead. That's the weakness of a Spinecrawler against mobile Reapers. The Queens are all going down. INnoVation has got the damage done to break this now. At least for the moment, he gets that Queen. He'll back away. Now he's got an open main base. A couple Lings spawning, but they're not all connected together just yet. He gets them in on top of this. He doesn't quite kill that Reaper, which was low. He finally gets one of the kills. He'll get another via the Queen. As the couple extra Lings go down too. This Queen now being chased away back up to the top side. 8 falls as well. Just going to be seeing more Lings streaming in, but more drones and more trouble. And this is going to be a shutdown here from INnoVation. Just going to get drone kills now. And this really does start fall apart. Like, this just gets worse and worse because you're still able to rally Reapers just into the main base, right? So you're still reinforcing this, and I just don't think you're ever cleaning up enough Reapers at once from DRG to actually make this good enough. So INnoVation, 2 quick games in a row with some very different ways of making it happen, is going to be able to come out and turn an 0-2 deficit into a 2-2 tied up series. Everything to play for going into game number 5. And yeah, INnoVation finding his aggressive side to win a couple of maps. Bottom right hand side, our blue Terran player is INnoVation, tying the series up with this aggression. So we're at a 2-2 scoreline right now. And the top left, we do have our red Zerg player from Team NV. It is DRG. Supermarket sushi. Well, it's not actually supermarket sushi. It's like, well, it's Yo Sushi. It's a Yo Sushi bar in a supermarket, which is, it's okay. Like, it's actually good. I like it. Outside of London, Japanese and Chinese suck in the UK. There's some good ones. The problem is, like, a lot of the generic Chinese or takeaways and stuff are just, like, it's not great. Like, there's definitely some that are pretty good, I'd say. But not all. Like, I can appreciate that not all of them. Like, I 100% agree. I think a lot of them are very crappy, but if you find, like, the right one in an area, there's usually, like at the moment, like, I know there's one near where I live, and it's, like, been my go-to for a long time, and it's just a different quality of food to, like, any other Chinese takeaway in the area. Alright, guys. Let's, get this going. Let's do have 2 barracks building up, and it's going to be proxied. So, this is actually something, who did this recently? I think it was TY did this in Katowice, I want to say. Am I crazy? I think TY did this in Katowice, and he ended up kind of mining through these minerals, right, and opening up this wall. And then you can obviously, which minerals do you click on? Okay, these are the right ones. So you open up this wall, and then you've got this proxy racks able to come across, and it's not somewhere you really scout at all. As DRG, you don't scout this far down with the worker or anything, right? So, yeah, a little bit rough. Was it TY? Was it Maru? It was somebody against a Zerg. I'm just trying to think which Zerg it was, maybe. I can't remember the series. God damn it. If only I was Rotterdam, I'd be able to tell you in a heartbeat. Marine shows up here, going to push these couple of drones away. So drones get chased out of here for the moment. You can see these drones being pulled into this and just going to be having the Marines continue to kite backwards. 2 drones going down right now. Make that 3, 4, maybe 5. 5 workers go down, so pretty decent here. As now the drones get us around, they take down another Marine. I mean, that's a lot of workers, though. 6 workers. This is only a 2-rack, so you take gas behind it, you get a factory at home. And this is 100% transitionable as INnoVation, right? This is the sort of build where you can just do a bit of damage and get away and just build up from there. And I think this is fine, probably on both sides, because while DRG lacks workers right now, INnoVation doesn't actually have the expansion on the natural, right? So yeah, gonna swap it up a little bit. Marines is going to sit on this ramp. We do see this SCV making its way over. Is going to come and take the minerals back home as well. Yeah, I mean, you open up this little bit of macro and you kind of go from there. I like it. Here's Maru versus DRG. Maru didn't play DRG in Katowice. I feel like it was either TY Solar or it was Maru versus Solar. Maru Solar played on this map. That was the map that they had the nuke on. I think it was TY Solo. I think it was the first game of the day on Group A or something. I think. Maybe I'm being wild. That all was it INnoVation Dark? And this is INnoVation just doing it again. That's also a possibility, right? God damn it. Maybe it was actually INnoVation. You know, if I just keep naming Terran players that have done, you know, I'll eventually be correct. You guys just have to ignore the wrong ones. Thing's gonna patrol away off over to the side, and we do have the Queen. I sat here waiting for these feelings to help out with whatever shows up. Just waiting for a drop, right? Just in case something is everything on the defense. He's ready for the drop, but it's not happening. It's just 2 Hellions on the ground. INnoVation. 3rd CC already building as his natural CC moves out in position. It's going to see a Queen of DRG moving down. It's going to put some damage onto these couple Hellions. The Hellions back away. Baneling Nest is about halfway done, and the lair coming up as well. We'll be finishing fairly soon. Now there is a medevac out, so he wasn't wrong with having the Lings in position for a drop. INnoVation, actually, I think INnoVation more than anyone else loves the 2 racks into like a Hellion drop follow-up. Like, he just really is fond of this, man. Did he just sneak all the way into the main base without DRG seeing anything? Oh no, DRG is going to lose the extra drones. That's going to make the difference in this game, I think. He was fine until now, but 7 workers, and these Hellions are still alive. Realistically, should have saved more of those Hellions. He saves 3. He probably could have had all 4. He tried to go for extra shots when he was basically headbutting Zerglings, which is, believe it or not, guys, I'm gonna go out there and say it. It's not ideal. It's not brilliant in the slightest. There's a few Hellions unload up to the top side. Do have the Spire on the way now from DRG in the back of this natural expansion. It's getting the Spire going. Extra drones still producing. Engineering base on the way in the back of the natural now as extra drones going down again. And these Hellions are still active. Every time you're killing workers right now, you're putting the Zerg into a tougher and tougher position to get themselves out of. Spire's on the way up. No Evo chambers. We're going to focus that Spire. No 3rd hatchery, right? That's the big thing. This is essentially 2 base meter from DRG, but then you're losing drones on 2 base meter. I didn't even think about the lack of a 3rd base. You know when you just sort of assume something is there? Obviously, with the way that this game started, it's something that DRG had to skip, so suddenly we're talking about a 3cc Terran against no 3rd hatchery. Well, my friends, I feel like INnoVation might make a pretty swift turnaround from the 0-2 deficit. Remember, he was 0-2 down in this, but, I mean, that was only like, what, like 15 minutes of game time ago or something, and now he's kind of, to me, on the verge of victory. This is a cloakless Banshee in case DRG got aggressive on the follow-up, and obviously can come across and be a little aggressive as well, gets 2 drones. It already served his purpose of being around, just in case there was aggression coming his way. So handles that. Now 2 Hellions unloading on this medevac, heading down the bottom side. Bit more Ling Bane going to start moving through the middle of the map, and the mutas and the +1 flyer attack setting up as well as the 1-1 comes through. The combat shields is on the way up. Couple extra Widow Mines on the way out, and 4 more missile turrets are all producing as we speak. Ling's got full surround. A couple of Hellions are down. Ling's going to stim over, chase after those Lings, which go for a turret. I mean, you can see what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to open a way for these Mutas to deal damage, but that costs him a lot of Lings. I mean, it's not like the Mutalist count is crazy either. Even without a turret, 4 Mutas are not going to kill a lot of SCVs very quickly. No Baneling speed yet, so the few Banes that try to come forward aggressively kind of get caught on their way back home too. Man, I just can't make anything, I can't say anything good about DRG's position, guys. He's about to be down upgrades as well. Wow, this early barracks play just really threw everything out the window for DRG. Absolutely. Everything goes out the window there. Brutal as the 1-1 upgrades do finish up from INnoVation. The Muta's going to turn it back around up in the center. Again, the Evolution Chamber's still coming in. Just see now Muta's continuing around this right-hand side. There's a couple Widow Mines here. First one goes off on a Zergling. The Ling goes down. And Pneumatized Carapace coming through. The Baneling speed about to finish as well. Just going to be seeing the Marines and the Medivacs still around the right. And again, Muta's wanting to make their way forward. Both these Marines just continuing through. Going to get rid of a couple of Creep Tumors and continuing to clean this up. So a lot of this creep being cleaned out. I mean, Overseer goes down. The Mutas like the only thing that DRG actually has, and the problem is Mutas don't fight against Marines. Like, these Marines split back, and you might argue that in some cases that would be... maybe in some worlds there's like not enough Marines there, but yeah, I mean, you're losing the front fight as well. There's just nothing good to say about DRG's position. I said it before, I'll say it again. He's just too far behind, yeah. That's kind of crazy, the position he kind of fell into just off that kind of proxy Rex, right? You come out of the proxy Rex, you know what it is as well, I don't even think it was necessarily that bad. Like right now, right, barracks are flying home, CC's halfway done, work count even in DRG has this hatch. But what DRG does, instead of actually going into like the third hatch, which would be like the typical go-to, is he stays on 2 bases. And by staying on 2 bases, you put yourself in a really weird position, because you're limited on lava, and you go into this fast layer, so he keeps mining gas as well, so you could have had a high mineral income. What you're basically doing by staying on 2 bases, you're saying, well, I should never take damage, right? Because if you're on only 2 bases, it should be easy to deny damage. And he had Lings and stuff in the right places too. And, it's looking okay, right? The work count's still fine. I don't actually hate him being on 2 bases. What I hate is that he's on 2 bases and the Hellion drop then deals damage, right? Because even right now, like, this is fine. You're going to start the Spire, and then you're going to start to expand. I still think he probably could have squeezed in this hatchery sooner. And I think it would have been better. There's a reason you never really see straight up 2 base meter anymore. But the problem is, because you're limited on lava, because you only have 2 bases, you can't afford to lose anything when it comes to these Hellions. Because now, when you lose these drones, you're already starved for lava, so you've got to rebuild drones. That takes away Ling Bane, so you've got nothing to counterattack with. And this is like, what, like 7 drones, and then you lose more on this low ground as well. And this is where it's just gone, because now you don't have the economy, because you've got to rebuild those drones. You don't have the economy to build the third hatch. The lair investment wasn't worthwhile because it's done nothing. You're mining 4 gases that you don't have a Spire down for. Right, there's all these things that are just going wrong, so the build very quickly just becomes very ineffective. You run in here, you get 3 more drones, like I say, it just adds up, right? And INnoVation's on a worker lead, a base lead, and like I say, at the time, I was like, wait a second, he's got no third hatchery. And it kind of came out of nowhere for me, because I was just like, why isn't there one, right? You just assume there would be, but no, he just never put that expansion down. Obviously, the Hellions, if it doesn't come down to the Hellions, he has to Spire faster, then you take a third hatchery anyway, because you never take that hit to your economy. It's a very different setup, and from there, I can see it playing out decently and doing okay. I don't know if I still love playing 2 base mutas, but whatever, it's a style. It can work. Bly makes it work sometimes. Just you cannot afford to take damage to it. If you're on 2 bases, you should never be taking damage to Hellions and stuff. Jeez. INnoVation 3-2 turns it around from the 0-2 deficit, wraps up the